I guess ultimately though, New Zealand is a beautiful place, Aotearoa is a beautiful place, and we are very lucky and proud of spaces. But with anything, there will always be, I think, an underbelly or issues around discrimination. I would hope in the future, though, that that would become less and less, and I do think that is something, but we are not immune to the issues of the world. We're not immune to the difficulties and struggles that other countries have where there have been Indigenous people there and essentially there has been a colonial force come through and dominate how society should look. In my view, and look, I recognise that other people have different views, but my perspective is I think we have systemic issues which contribute to racism, discrimination, and inequities, and that does include the justice system. And then I think at another level we have issues with some legislation and the way in which it has been written. Then we do have some issues, I guess, of those who are interpreting the legislation or are, in that legal space. So we have those levels. However, I think it is important to recognise that some of our legislation, whilst our system hasn't changed, so there is a real piece of work that is underway by many strong leaders and advocates within the community in terms of systemic change, in terms of our constitutional makeup, that hasn't been picked up by the Crown yet. So that whilst that hasn't been touched really, in my view, there are tweaks, I guess, to the legislation that have been done where we do have legislation, and even in the Care of Children Act and the Care and Protection Act in New Zealand, that do reflect tikanga Māori terms. So you must have regard to certain principles about a child needing to be connected to their whānau, their family, their hapu, their sub-tribe, and their iwi, their tribe. So whilst the constitutional makeup hasn't had a reform that would really potentially have the ability to lift up the Treaty of Waitangi and ensure that it's consistent in the approach from a constitutional point of view, it does not mean that there has been able to be progress in legislation, because there has been changes. And in my view, with those changes, it gives us the ability as lawyers to then be able to advocate in advance for our clients.